Okay, so in the previous lecture we completed at this point. We said that we will be discussing the graph on the next page from this lecture. So we were seeing that for y equal to 1, cos function will be minus of log fx, and for y equal to 0, function will be minus of log 1 minus fx. And we did the mathematics and we tried to solve that how this will be affecting our cos function. But we have also plotted that for you. You can see here. अब इसमें क्या हो रहा है? Try to understand. So this blue line is for minus of log h. So minus of log h theta x is a function of it is a cos function when y is equal to 1. So when y is equal to 1 and you put the values here and you try to solve, so what do you get? Look at this one, y equal to 1. So for hx equal to 1, if you have the value as 1, अगर आपका मैच हो रहा है, इसका मतलब यही है that if you are matching, अब आपकी जो prediction है वो और आपका जो actual value है वो अगर ये दोनों मैच कर जाते हैं, then cost is equal to 0 obviously, right? There is no difference. तो cost तो है ही नहीं है, exact same answer आ गया. But in case your prediction is 0, then cost will be infinite. Why? Because when you input value of 0 here, minus log 0, so log 0, what is log 0? It is undefined, right? log 1 is 0 but log 0 is undefined. तो यहाँ पे हमने लिख दिया that it is infinite. And prediction while having this value, when we have y equal to 1 having x, इसको generalized way में लिखेंगे तो it is equal to 0. But अब ये वाली चीज, it is a screenshot of from somewhere, so it is I mean, let's focus only on the upper part. So this is kind of incomplete, so ignore that. uh, it's just that you need to understand that how this graph is being plotted here. So uh, you can see that h of theta is my prediction, right? And if my prediction is 1, my cost function is lowest. And if my prediction is 0, my cost function is infinite highest, right? So this is going uh, like this, and it is kind of infinite because it is undefined in our case. And similarly for y equal to 0, if it is matching, cost function will be 0. तो 0 में आपने 0 को ही predict करा, तो obviously your cost function will be 0. ये आपका cost function है, this is your cost, right? And this is your prediction. So your cost is increasing if your prediction is wrong. अब यहाँ पे if the prediction is 1, then the cost is infinite. And this is how to look into this graph. And similarly, you can see here, same thing has been made in a way that they are both opposite of each other. Why? Because when we are plotting a minus of log h, if it is in this direction, and if we are doing it for log 1 minus h, then obviously the opposite of it will happen. um, Obviously if you were, let's say, getting answer for log 0, 1 minus h will be opposite, right? It will be log 1. So kind of 1 minus h, if you do, so you put here the value of 0, so it will be log 1. So they are kind of opposite of each other, but the flow is in this way that we have to take care of the cost function. Now in this you can see that uh, in both the figures on the left hand side, figure A and figure B, so all both these figures have been made according to the function of h theta x, not 1 minus h theta x. ठीक है, तो according to h theta x, this is how it looks like. But if the same thing is being made for 1 minus h theta x, तो आपके flow उल्टे हो जाएंगे. So this one will be like this and this one will be like this. So you have to take care about these things, that how to plot the graph. The basic understanding required was regarding this only. Moving ahead now. So the two separate equations for y equal to 1 and 0 can be combined in single equation. Now obviously, now we know that the cost function is like this, that you have to get the value in this form. It is okay, so it is if y is equal to 1, the cost is this. So you can write it as y log fx. So I think that's what is being written here. Yeah, y log fx, they are together, and 1 minus y into log of 1 minus fx. So whatever the predictions are, depending on the function that we were trying to use. So this is how it looks like. And taking obviously you can do some mathematics and you can take the minus common outside, then it will be different. But now when y is equal to 1, cost is equal to this. So when y is equal to 0, cost is equal to this. So this we have already discussed earlier, that when y is equal to 1, we have to get this as my cost function log of fx, and when y is equal to 0, then log 1 minus fx will be used. So you have to remember these cost functions. uh, okay, total cost is this. So now total error for all the n training samples. So this is only one, right? When you are putting single value, it is for one. But now if you want to do it for n training samples, you have to do the summation and you have to do 1 by n. In a way you are getting the average, but you are doing exactly same thing. Now minus is outside, it is common, but overall equation has become positive inside. Now same thing is written again, y log fxi. So simple x has been updated to xi, and here again xi. Y is also updated according to I, because according to the instance the output will be there, the actual and the predicted. So this cost function is a function of coefficients of input variables, which is betas, whose optimal values are computed using the optimization techniques. So we have already gone through how this gradient descent optimization works, but let's see how it works for our logistic regression function. Now in logistic regression function, if we use this gradient descent optimization, again the equation will be in a same way. It will be having multiple instances, but every time we will be using that z, right? So because my fx is this, in this case fx equal to 1 upon 1 minus 1 plus e to the power minus x. But when we do this first derivative, so getting the first derivative, we will get this after solving, and solving it, we will get final equation as this. So we can say that delta fx upon delta z is equal to fx into 1 minus 1 minus fx into delta x by delta z. It looks simple, and actually it is very simple to remember, because we were already dealing with fx and 1 minus fx. Only this delta x upon delta z has been added. So the partial derivative of the sigmoid function is the product of fx and 1 minus fx and the derivative of power with respect to z. So you have to take care of these things. Now after this, for logistic regression, cost function is given by this. Okay, so for logistic regression, yeah, cost function is given by this. J is equal to this, and where fx is equal to this, we all know, we have been dealing with this equation already. So this is my fx, and now I have to put the value in this. We were dealing with fx minus f of 1 minus 1 minus fx. That was the equation earlier, but now we are trying to substitute the value of fx into it, and when we solve the mathematics, we will get the equation finally as this part. So 1 by n and fxi minus yi into xij. So this is my gradient descent optimization after solving mathematics. We will not go into the details of it, but you can verify that how this has been done. uh, Obviously I will not give you this in exam to solve this mathematics and solve everything, but yeah, I mean, at least you should know that what is the gradient descent optimization for logistic regression, how it looks like, and how it can be derived if it is asked outside your outside the Thapa University. If it is asked in a interview, you should know how it works. So after this, now does the derivative of cost function with respect to beta j is same as in case of linear regression, and these are the basic steps, and this will help us to actually implement gradient descent optimization for this regression. So these are kind of implementation, I mean, this is an implementation algorithm. You have to first initialize the beta values. All the beta values will be initialized to 0. Then you have to update, and this looks I mean, we have worked with this kind of a update function earlier. In this 1 by n into summation of everything into xij, it was my gradient descent optimization function, but into alpha is my learning rate. So alpha into the change of this alpha into this gradient descent optimization function will give me the update function formula, where I mean, you can decode this that I0 means where I0 equal to 1, and you have to I mean, decode accordingly that how it works. So k are the number of iterations. Here k means that when we are training your model, it might be the case that you are doing single iteration, you are doing multiple iteration. So it will be asked, let's say that there is a numerical in which I have asked that you have to do it for 2 iterations, then you have to do it twice. You have to initialize the values with beta 0. At the end of first iteration, your beta values will be updated. Let's say you will have a beta updated beta value as something maybe uh, 5 or 10. So initially you would have done it with 0 minus something, but then later on it will be 10 minus whatever the update value is. So updated value has to be replaced at this point. Instead of 0, then you will be using 10 when you will be doing the second iteration. Now, if I want to do the logistic regression for multi-class classification, I have already told you that we can do only logistic regression. I mean, only binary classification using logistic function, and we did it using the sigmoid function, where we studied that it is like this, where it can be said that it is passing through this point, and then I mean, it is -1 to 1. So on a scale of y, it will be -1. On scale of here on y, it will be 1. So it is like this. At this point, it is 0. So y equal to 0. The answer is 0. Otherwise, actually, this was 0.5, and it will be 0 to 1. I mean, I think, yeah. So this is actually tan h. This is tan h. Logistic function was 0 to 1. So that is like this. Yeah. So this was the function that was taught. 0 to 1 is the limitation of logistic limit. I mean, at the midpoint at 0.5, you have the value. When we say that we have to do the prediction, whatever value you are receiving, 0.5 is the threshold value here. If the value you are solving, it is less than 0.5, it is 0. The output will be 0, and y output will be 1 if the value of the function is greater than 0.5. So this was the case, and this is logistic, or maybe you can say sigmoid function, right? And similarly, there is a tan h function in which the limitation is -1 to 1. We will use this and we will study this later on, but for now we are only dealing with the sigmoid. And in sigmoid, the limitation 0 to 1, everything is understandable till here. But now I am saying that we also want to do multi-class classification. It means that we have to deal with more than 2 classes. Here there are 3 classes. Now you want to do the prediction that how does this look? Um, how do I do this multi-class classification, knowing that logistic regression is only for binary classification? Simplest thing is you can do by using this technique called one versus all or one versus rest. And in fact, one versus rest is called OVR technique in our Python. It is available in SciPy library, scikit library, and OVR can be used. But what does this mean and how does this work? It means that one by one we will do 3 experiments. In first experiment, I will take this class 1, I will name it as 1, I will code it as 1, and I will give 0 to other 2 classes. So these are 0 for me. This is my 1, and I will do a binary classification between 1 and 0. So I can do a curve fitting like this, And according to this line, I can say that on this side of the line all the values are 1, and on this side of the line all the values are 0. And then again I will have to repeat it with the second iteration. In second iteration, what I have to do is I have to consider this one as the 1 and the other two as the 0, and this line will be made like this. So this is my you can say second experiment, right? This is my second attempt. And then in the third scenario I will have to uh, consider this one as 1 and other two as 0. So it will be done like this. So this is my third experiment. So multiple experiments have to be done within this OVR. Let's study that what's being written here, where we can train a binary classifier for each distinct class and choose the class that has the largest value returned by the sigmoid function. So it means that when we are trying to use this OVR technique, we have to consider one distinct class, right? And now, for instance, consider a classification problem in which there are two input variables on the basis of which the examples are classified into three classes. So how do we do this? We will look into the detail now. So for each binary classifier that we train, we will need to relabel the data so that the outputs of for our class of interest is set to 1 and all other labels are set to 0. Okay, so that's what I told already, that we have to deal with one class at a time, and other two classes will be uh, mal- uh, it will be the other one. So if A is 1, BC will be 0. If B is 1, then A and C will be 0. So this kind of a thing has to be done. And let's see. Yeah, everything has been written here. If A is 1, B and C are 0, B is 1, A, C is 0, C is 1, A and B are 0. And you have to implement this function for all the three categories. So each binary classifier will give probability, right? So this one will give probability, this one will give probability number, this one will give probability number. And you have to uh, implement this function in the end, that whatever this says, then it will be the answer. So uh, I think, yeah, this is given here. So everything that I have discussed, it is already here, that uh, this one is 1, others are 0. So this kind of classification can be done, and this can be done. So yeah, mainly each binary classifier will give the probability of ith label given the input feature values and choose that label for which probability is maximum. So uh, when we do this classification, you will get some probability numbers, let's say 0 0.7, 0 0.8, 0.1, something like that will be there. Maybe you can say, uh, yeah, I mean, if A is 1 and B and C are set to 0. So A being 1 has 0 0.7. So it means that A is 1. It is a good classifier, and others are 0, means B and C will be getting number around 0.3, 1 minus whatever number here it is. So if my number says C is 1 and A or B are 0, but my probability is very low, it means that C and I mean C, ABC are not being classified accurately in this case. So it has to depend on the probability. You have to implement this argmax function, and we will look into the detail of OVR function in the lab. But now let's discuss that how we will implement the regression for this logistic regression. So uh, overfitting is also a problem of classification models that we have already discussed in the regression. We know that in a regression model, if our model uh, I mean, when do we say that it is overfitting? When my error gap is big, and it is not able to predict well on the test data set. And same rule is applying here. If you are trying to overfit your data, if you are trying to add so many curves, let's say this is a curve 1, this is curve 2, this is curve 3, curve 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if there are so many of curves, maybe we can say that there are multiple variables also, then beta naught plus x1 beta 1. So it will be in fact beta square. Let it be beta 1 first. Then x2 into beta square plus x3 into beta cube plus x4 into beta 4, x5 beta 5, and till 9, x9 beta 9. So obviously this is a very complex equation, and if we look at the curves from this point, that uh, if I'm using so much of if I'm using so much of variables, it will give me a very complex equation. So generally we have to use the power of x. So it will be beta naught plus beta 1 x plus beta 2 x square up to beta 9 x 9. So yeah, we have to work with the power of x, and the equation will be very complex in that case. So overfitting is also a problem of classification, as we may fit a very complex decision boundary. Lot of curves and angles are there that provides that considers each training example but does not generalize well. So the problem of overfitting can be handled by regression. Obviously we know how to shrink, how to smoothen. So we have discussed this thing. We have already discussed the basics of ridge and lasso. So if you apply ridge regression in logistic regression, how does this work? We have to add this thing, right? Beta square summation 1 upon 2n, because 2n, because when we will be solving this equation, uh, 2 will come outside, it will get cancelled. So just for the mathematical simplicity, we have taken 1 by 2n into lambda. Lambda is my regression parameter, and when we solve it for this delta j upon delta beta j, obviously that 2 has gone. Now only it is lambda by n into beta j, and otherwise the first half is similar to what we achieved earlier. Similarly, if you, I mean, obviously now we can always put the values, we can always put the details of fx, and uh, now from this equation we can say that the factor of this starting number 1 minus alpha into lambda upon n is less than 1, so the coefficients will be shrinked. So whatever the numbers are, it overall 1 minus something will be less than 1, so the coefficients will be shrinked. Okay, overall my number of overall the coefficient size will decrease, and it will eventually help me reduce that overfitting. And similarly, if you want to apply lasso, you will have to search about it, and I mean, I can only give you idea. In fact, you know already. You have to just change this 2 to 1, and it will be summation of this thing, right? And you can solve it. But then when you will be solving, it will become constant in this case, right? Because when you are doing it with a single power, and you are doing a differentiation, this will become constant, and in the end it will not affect much. So only ridge regression can help us more in logistic regression. And if you want to implement reduction of overfitting in a logistic regression, go with the ridge regression. This will be a better technique for you. So that's all for this classification introduction. And if the time allows, I will start with the different kinds of evaluation metrics of classification. If you have any doubt in this till now, you can ask. Any doubt?
No, sir.
Okay. So I will now switch my screen to evaluation metrics in classification. Okay, so this is the next topic, classification evaluation matrix. This is very important. You need to understand this because when we are implementing logistic regression, or maybe the next models that I will be teaching you, naive Bayes classifier, KNN classifier, SVM, or decision tree, random forest, all those kind of models will be tested on this matrix. There are multiple techniques that we need to follow, that we need to solve. When we are implementing a model, it might give us some outputs that we know already from regression, but then we also have to check the quality, that actually how much accuracy it holds, or maybe F1 score it holds. So we will be discussing different types of evaluation metrics. Let's begin. So there are multiple evaluation metrics. These are the most famous 8 evaluation metrics for classification. Confusion matrix. This will be, in fact, it will be matrix. So it is confusion matrix. Accuracy, misclassification rate, precision, recall. Recall is also called true positive rate, TPR, and it is also called sensitivity or hit rate. So these are the 4 names for this recall: TPR, sensitivity, and hit rate. Then there is this F beta score. F beta score means beta can change. Beta can be 1, beta can be 2, depending upon different kinds of requirements. We can change beta, and most famous one out of this is F1 score. So F1 score is part of this F beta score family. Then there is specificity, ROC curve. So we will go through all these kind of evaluation metrics, and we will understand that how does these things help us. So first, confusion matrix. Confusion matrix, it is a table, and I will show you the table first and then explain what's being done here. So when we say, I mean, I think this is a bit blurry. I will make very small one on the top. So, okay, we know that, let's say, actual value that was supposed to be the output was 1 and 0. But then predicted value can be anything, right? So prediction can be 1, it can be 0. And we will name few things now. If my actual value is 1 and output is also 1, right? Actual value is 1, output is also 1, prediction is also 1. So this is called true positive, because it is a positive number, right? I mean, if we consider that 1 is positive case, 0 is negative case, so TP is true positive if 1 and 1 are matching. But if actually the value was 0, but you are giving the output as the actual value was 1, but you are giving the output as 0. Now uh, it will be called false negative. Why? Because 0 is negative, and it is wrong to say 0 when it was supposed to be 1. आप धक्के से पॉजिटिव नंबर को नेगेटिव बोल रहे हो, that's why it is called false negative. Now similarly, if you are calling actually 0 value tha and you are calling it as 1, now it is false positive, because it is being called positive, but it is false to say it positive. So it is FP, and all of these things have been written in this diagram. Just because it is blurry, that's why I'm explaining in a different figure. If you are saying 0 to a actual 0, if the prediction is also 0, these two are matching, it is true negative. Because आपने 0 को 0 बोल दिया, तो this is true negative. So these are the 4 things that you need to take care of, and this thing is written on these sides, so you can read the theory. But one point to remember here is type 1 and type 2 error. So when you are saying 1 to a 0, actually वो 0 था, but you are saying it as 1, this is called type 1 error. This is called type 1 error. And if you are calling actually it was 1 and you are calling it as 0, the false negative is called type 2 error. So it's just a name you have to remember. You can write it as like this, type 2 error. Okay. So type 1 error and type 2 error. Type 1 error is false positive, type 2 error is false negative. So this is a thing to remember in this case. Now let's see what's written. Confusion matrix is a table that is often used to describe the performance of a classification model or a classifier. Uh, in this we have this actual and predicted values. We can make a table, right? We have to make a table for it. We have to deal with the TP, TN, FP, and FN depending upon what the values are coming out to be, and we will be calling them like that. So these are the four things that will be used in rest of the evaluation matrix also. If these four things are clear, then you can solve the other evaluation matrix also, because I will show you one example. So first, let's go through this type 1 and type 2 error, and then I will quote an example to you. So we want to minimize these two things. Obviously, these are errors. आप किसी को 0 को 1 नहीं बोल सकते, 0 को 1 बोलना is false positive, right? And false negative is 1 को 0 बोलना, it is a false negative. So these two errors we want to minimize. We do not want these things, but sometimes it is not possible to minimize both. एक टाइम पे एक को हैंडल कर लोगे तो it can be a case that second thing is coming out to be as a error. So it depends upon the application on which you are trying to solve the things. So let's talk about cancer patients. अब एक बात बताओ, अगर आपने किसी हेल्दी बंदे को बोल दिया कि इसको कैंसर है, ठीक है, अगर आपने किसी हेल्दी बंदे को बोल दिया उसका कैंसर 0 आना चाहिए था, बट आपने उसको 0 को 1 बोल दिया, या फिर आपने कैंसर वाले बंदे को 0 बोल दिया कि उसको कैंसर नहीं है, दिस इज माई फॉल्स पॉजिटिव, राइट? दिस इज फॉल्स पॉजिटिव, 0 को 1, एंड 1 को 0 बोलना इज फॉल्स नेगेटिव इन दिस केस. Which one is more deadly? Which one is I mean wrong, and it might be, I mean that might be a wrong prediction. Which one is more important out of this to handle in a medical case?
फॉल्स नेगेटिव.
फॉल्स नेगेटिव. अगर किसी को कैंसर है, आपने उसको 0 बोल दिया कि भाई तेरे को नहीं है, obviously we don't want this kind of a situation. False negative needs to be handled, right? And it's written already. मैं आपको रीजन बता रहा हूँ, क्योंकि रीजन है इसके पीछे कि सपोज आपने किसी को बोला कि भाई तुम्हें कैंसर है, बट उसको नहीं था, तो क्या होगा, उसको 1 या 2 दिन तक नींद नहीं आएगी बंदे को परेशानी में, बट देन ही विल गेट टेस्टेड, और वो शायद एक और टेस्ट करवा लेगा, उससे उसको क्लियर हो जाएगा कि भाई एक्स्ट्रा चलो 2 टेस्ट करवा लिए, थोड़े पैसे भी लग गए, बट उसकी टेंशन चली जाएगी कि चलो भाई ये कैंसर नहीं था, इट वाज ए फॉल्स पॉजिटिव. तो इसमें कोई नुकसान नहीं है सिवाय एंजाइटी के. बट इस केस में अगर आपने किसी को बोल दिया कैंसर वाले को भाई तेरे को कैंसर नहीं है, तो दैट इज डेडली. वो बंदा मर सकता है 2 4 6 महीने 10 महीने में. That cancer can become deadly and he can reach 4th stage of cancer, and it will be very difficult to save that person. So we need to focus on false negative in a medical problem, right? And let's talk about the second case. Here we are trying to classify the emails as spam or ham. इस केस में spam को non spam बोलना versus non spam को spam बोल देना, कौन से वाला ज्यादा खतरनाक है?
स्पैम को नॉन स्पैम बोलना मतलब फॉल्स नेगेटिव.
फॉल्स नेगेटिव और फॉल्स पॉजिटिव, इसमें से आप कह रहे हो ये वाला ज्यादा खतरनाक है?
यस सर, फॉल्स नेगेटिव में भी.
स्पैम को बोल रहे हो कि स्पैम नहीं है, ये कैसे खतरनाक हुआ? अगर वो गलती से हमारे इनबॉक्स में आ भी गया, हमें तो पता चल जाएगा ना, तो हम इसको रिमूव कर सकते हैं, इससे कोई खतरनाक हमारा कोई नुकसान नहीं हो रहा. बट इन केस लेट्स से यू हैव गिवन ए प्लेसमेंट टेस्ट, और आपको एक कोई इंपॉर्टेंट ईमेल आना था, ठीक है, कंपनी से, आपने नॉन स्पैम ईमेल को स्पैम बोल के स्पैम फोल्डर में भिजवा दिया, और आप टाइम पे उसको साइन करके कॉन्ट्रैक्ट को नहीं भेज पाए, तो इस केस में हमें ये वाला नहीं ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट, फॉल्स पॉजिटिव?
सॉरी सर, गॉट इट.
ठीक है, यस. सो इन दिस केस फॉल्स पॉजिटिव इज मोर इम्पोर्टेंट. नाउ दैट्स द इम्पोर्टेंस. ठीक है, तो हमने पीछे देखा था कि हमारा जो फॉल्स पॉजिटिव होता है वो टाइप 1 एरर है. ठीक है, तो यहाँ पे टाइप 1 एरर को मिनिमाइज करना है, और यहाँ पे मुझे टाइप 2 एरर को मिनिमाइज करना है. इज इट क्लियर? मिनिमाइज दिस थिंग.
यस सर.
या. सो let's talk about accuracy now. Accuracy क्या होता है? Accuracy means that overall कितना correct prediction आया है divided by total number of predictions, and out of those 4 things मुझे सिर्फ true वालों को ऊपर रखना है numerator में, because they are the accurate ones, right? और नीचे डिवाइड कर दो टोटल प्रेडिक्शन से, तो मुझे ओवरऑल एक्यूरेसी मिल जाएगी, राइट? सो दिस इज द टोटल एक्यूरेसी वेयर वी आर सेइंग दैट ट्रू पॉजिटिव प्लस ट्रू नेगेटिव के 1 को 1 बोला है, 0 को 0 बोला है, उसको न्यूमरेटर में रखो, डिवाइड बाय सारे केसेस, चाहे गलत बोला है चाहे सही बोला है, that will be kept in the denominator. So this is my accuracy formula. It is very simple to remember, so I will not uh, I mean discuss this much, but accuracy is an important metric to be used when the data is approximately balanced. So this is the most important part. देखो, अगर डेटा सेट आपका बैलेंस्ड है तभी आप एक्यूरेसी को यूज करोगे, बट लेट्स से दैट इन ए कैंसर पेशेंट डायग्नोसिस, आउट ऑफ 100 पेशेंट्स 95 वर नॉन कैंसर, 5 बंदों को कैंसर था, तो क्या मैं ये कह सकता हूँ कि यार अगर मैं 100 के 100 बंदों को, लेट्स से मेरा ट्रेनिंग वाले में, लेट्स से आई हैड ए ट्रेनिंग डेटा सेट, ट्रेनिंग में मेरे पास 100 पेशेंट थे जिसमें से 95 को कैंसर नहीं था, पर 5 को कैंसर था, बट व्हेन आपने, जब आपने इसको ट्रेन किया मॉडल को विदाउट हैंडलिंग एनी बैलेंसिंग और एनीथिंग, तो आपने क्या किया, मॉडल ने सोचा यार 95 केसेस में 0 है तो मैं सबको 0 बोल देता हूँ, ठीक है? तो टेस्ट केस में क्या होएगा, टेस्ट केस में क्या ये कहना ठीक रहेगा कि मैं सबको 0 बोल दूं, और उससे क्या होगा कि हो सकता है 5 बंदे जो कैंसर जिनको था, आपने उसको 0 बोल दिया, तो आपने इसको फॉल्स नेगेटिव कर दिया, तो इज दिस सेफ टेक्निक? इसमें आप ये तो कह दोगे कि 100 में से 95 बंदों का मैंने ठीक बताया और 95% एक्यूरेट भी हो आप, अकॉर्डिंग टू दिस फॉर्मूला यू आर 95% एक्यूरेट, बट वो 5 बंदों का क्या जो मर जाएंगे बेचारे, राइट? So my model is poor even if my model is giving 95% accuracy in this case, in the second case, ठीक है? तो it should not be used for imbalanced data sets. तो 95 versus 5 19 times का फर्क है, तो we will not use accuracy in this kind of a case. Otherwise accuracy को जितना मर्जी use करो when your model, when your data set is balanced, when your classes are balanced. Now what is misclassification rate? Misclassification means that in numerator all the wrong predictions divided by total number of predictions. एक्यूरेसी था, ऊपर ट्रू पॉजिटिव और ट्रू नेगेटिव को रखा था, ठीक है, ये मेरा एक्यूरेसी था, बट मिस क्लासिफिकेशन में हमने फॉल्स पॉजिटिव और फॉल्स नेगेटिव को न्यूमरेटर में रखा है, अदरवाइज थिंग्स आर फाइन, ठीक है? तो इस केस में मिस क्लासिफिकेशन रेट की जो एक्यूरेसी आई है, इट इज एक्चुअली फॉल्स पॉजिटिव प्लस फॉल्स नेगेटिव डिवाइड बाय टोटल प्रेडिक्शंस, इसको भी एक्यूरेसी बोला है, बट इन दिस केस इट इज मिस क्लासिफिकेशन एक्यूरेसी, ठीक है? मिस क्लासिफिकेशन रेट एक्यूरेसी, तो इसको ध्यान रखना है, दोनों में डिफरेंस है, और मिस क्लासिफिकेशन जितना कम हो उतना अच्छा, ठीक है? ऑब्वियसली वी आल्सो नो कि जितना गलतियां कम करेगा उतना बेटर है, दैट्स व्हाई इट इज रिटन. सो व्हाट इज प्रिसीजन? प्रिसीजन is correct positive predictions divided by total positive predictions. So precision means कि आपने ट्रू पॉजिटिव मतलब 1 को 1 बोला, ठीक है, डिवाइड बाय, आपने चाहे 1 को 1 बोला चाहे आपने 0 को 1 बोला, मेरे को आंसर तो 1 मिला ना, तो टोटल जितने 1 मिले वो डिनोमिनेटर में, और जितने सही से 1 मिले वो न्यूमरेटर में. सो दैट इज माय प्रिसीजन. सो प्रिसीजन इज हाई when my false positive is low. Obviously, let's say my true positive is 10 and true positive will be 10, but my false positive अगर यहाँ पे 1 है या 2 है या 3 है, ऑब्वियसली उतने बड़ा डिनोमिनेटर होता जाएगा, तो ओवरऑल मेरी प्रिसीजन पे फर्क पड़ता रहेगा डिपेंडिंग ऑन ये नंबर कितना बड़ा है, ठीक है? तो जितना बड़ा ये नंबर जाता रहेगा मेरा फॉल्स पॉजिटिव का, उतने मेरा प्रिसीजन छोटा होता जाएगा. सो प्रिसीजन इज बेस्ट और हाई व्हेन माय फॉल्स पॉजिटिव इज लोएस्ट. Therefore, precision must be used when we want to minimize the false positive error. अब इसको याद रखना है कि precision का application क्या है. Precision का application है when we want to minimize my false positive. ठीक है, जब मुझे false positive पे focus करना है. So whenever you are trying to implement a spam classification, email spam classification application, you have to focus on precision the most. ठीक है, एक्यूरेसी तो करना ही है अगर आपका डेटा सेट बैलेंस्ड है, बट आपको ये भी देखना है कि आपका प्रिसीजन का वैल्यू हाई आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा. एंड रिकॉल, रिकॉल में उसका उल्टा कर लो, फॉल्स नेगेटिव को मिनिमाइज करना है, ठीक है, यहाँ पे फॉल्स नेगेटिव आ गया. एंड देख फर्क सिर्फ देखो इतना ही है, दैट टीपी अपॉन टीपी प्लस एफपी और टीपी अपॉन टीपी प्लस एफएन. सो व्हेन यू आर ट्राइंग टू फोकस ऑन मिनिमाइजिंग फॉल्स नेगेटिव, जब भी आप वो मेडिकल डायग्नोसिस कर रहे हो, then this recall will help you. ठीक है, recall को जितना high करोगे उतना better. So recall must be used when we want to minimize the false negative errors such as medical diagnosis, and it is also called these three things. So अगर आपको पूछा जाए that it is a TPR value, TPR value means recall only, as well as this is also called sensitivity. So you have to remember this formula whenever this thing comes, that hit rate, sensitivity, recall or TPR, all of them are this. Okay, so this has to be remembered. F beta score. F beta score, let's discuss in the next class. We will continue from here. Only few slides are left, but now time is up. So let's continue in the next class on this topic. I'm stopping the recording now.